When I saw the first cement truck back up toward the creek, I thought it was a mistake. I waved my arms, shouting over the engine noise, but they didn't stop. They poured gray slurry straight into the water, smothering the clear, bubbling stream that had run through my family's land for generations. By the time I reached them, the damage was done as the hoe had destroyed the heart of my property. My name's Daniel Cole. I grew up on this land long before the Maple Ridge Estates development ever existed. My grandfather dug that creek bed by hand to redirect spring water away from our crops. For nearly 70 years, it flowed quietly along the edge of our woods until the home next door decided it was unsightly. They said the creek invited mosquitoes and reduced property value. Never mind that it was natural, that it had been here long before their designer lawns and fake lakes. When I found out what they'd done, I stood on the muddy bank, fists trembling, watching concrete harden where life used to flow. I felt something inside me break, but not in a way that made me give up. It was the kind of break that forges resolve. I filed a complaint immediately with the county's environmental division. They brushed it off, claiming civil issue. The HOA's president, a woman named Cheryl Whitmore, told me smugly at a meeting, "You can't fight progress, Daniel. Maybe it's time you sell that old land of yours." Her words stung. My late father had passed me that land with the promise, "Never let anyone destroy what keeps this place alive." I wasn't about to let Cheryl win, so I started digging, not in the dirt, but in the paperwork. I spent nights poring over property lines, water rights, and environmental codes. What I found made my heart race. That creek wasn't just a decorative stream. It was classified as a protected tributary feeding into the county's watershed. Blocking or filling it was a direct violation of state and federal law. I gathered photos, drone footage, and soil samples showing cement and debris choking the water flow. Then I sent every bit of evidence to the State Department of Environmental Quality. Weeks passed without a word, but then one morning, I got a call from a stern-voiced investigator named Martinez. "Mr. Cole," she said, "we received a report. We need to visit the site immediately." That visit changed everything. When the state team arrived, Cheryl tried to act calm, putting on her usual charm. "Oh, it's just a small drainage fix," she said, smiling tightly. But Martinez wasn't buying it. They took samples, measured runoff levels, and traced how the filled creek had redirected stormwater. What they discovered sent shockwaves through Maple Ridge. By cutting off the natural creek flow, the hoe had disrupted the drainage for the entire valley. 2 weeks later, the first storm hit. It wasn't even a big one, just steady autumn rain. But without the creek channel, water had nowhere to go. It pooled in the newly built backyards, flooded their basements, and turned their manicured lawns into murky ponds. By morning, 3 houses sat knee-deep in water, some pumps roaring. Cheryl's $1 million home, the lowest point on the block. I'll never forget the look on her face when I saw her standing in her driveway, water lapping at her ankles. When the state finally released their report, it was damning. The hoe was fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for environmental damage, and they were ordered to restore the creek at their own expense under my supervision as the adjoining landowner. For months, I watched as construction crews tore up concrete, dredged silt, and rebuilt the waterway they had destroyed. The day the water began to flow again, I stood beside Martinez. The sun glinted off the surface, and for the first time in a long while, I felt peace. "Looks like it's back to life," she said with a rare smile. I nodded, eyes stinging. "It always finds a way," I replied. But the hoe's troubles weren't over. Word spread fast about their environmental disaster. Property values plummeted, insurance companies pulled out, and several homeowners filed lawsuits against Cheryl and the board. Within a year, the once pristine Maple Ridge Estates was a ghostly swamp of empty homes and for sale signs sinking in soggy yards. As for me, I used the settlement money the county paid for damages to build a small nature preserve along my section of the creek. Kids from the local school come to study frogs, birds, and the same flowing water that nearly vanished forever. Sometimes I stand there, listening to the gentle rush, and think about how fragile yet resilient nature can be. One afternoon, Cheryl drove by in her old SUV. She stopped near the fence, watching me for a long time before rolling down her window. "You got what you wanted," she said bitterly. I looked at the creek, then back at her. No, Cheryl, I said softly. I got what we all needed. You just didn't see it. She didn't answer. A just drove away, tires splashing through the puddles that still haunted her street. Now, every spring, when the creek overflows it spanks just a little. I smile. It's a reminder that you can't silence the voice of the earth. Not with concrete, not with money, not with arrogance. Because when you try to bury what's natural and true, a broken bar, it always finds its way back. And sometimes, it brings justice with it.